The Knicks are officially a team no one wants to play. That's the title of New York Post sports columnist Mike Vacarro's trending article on the site. And Mike's on the line now to talk about New York. Sorry, Mike, if I hurt your ears. The buzz of the city, the energy's got me, man. First and foremost, thanks for joining us. Let's hop right into this. They're set to go on to the next round and play the Heat. But before we talk about that series, you wrote, they are officially a team no one wants to see. Please break that down for us.
Yeah, I think the series against the Cavaliers really underlined that. They come at you, they're professional, they play hard, they play smart. They bullied the Cavaliers, which is ironic because it seemed like if the Cavaliers had one advantage, clear advantage going into the series, it was that they had the two-man tandem underneath of Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. And, the Nets made those two guys disappear, specifically Mitch Robinson, dude who had a fantastic series. And look, the other thing that we thought the Cavaliers had on their side was they had the best player in Donovan Mitchell. And while Mitchell had his moments, he certainly wasn't near enough to carry the Cavaliers past the Knicks, which makes you think that the Knicks might be able to have an answer for Jimmy Butler also. Who's on just an epic playoff run right now, but certainly isn't the player Donovan Mitchell is. And so you would think that they might be able to figure out a way to maybe muffle him a little bit too in the next series. And it's just broken well for the Knicks, they just have. They're playing well. They're playing their best at the best time of the year. The playoff bracket is broken well for them. They're going to have a home court advantage against the Heat. Right now, it's a good time to be a Knicks fan, no doubt about that.
Well, we'll get into Jimmy Buckets in a little bit, but you just said things like they played hard, played smart, and bullied. Using words like bullied. A couple months ago, people would have never used those words to talk about the Knicks. So in your opinion, when did it start to click for the Knicks? Like, when did this team develop the it factor?
Well, I think the easy moment to point to is when Josh Hart became a Knick. It really seemed to be a galvanizing factor, which is interesting because he was a guy who was coming off the bench for most of the time, although now he's a starter, and it would be surprising to me if he ever came out of the starting lineup the rest of the year. But since Hart became a part of the team and become a different player, he embodies everything that the other core members of the Knicks do in terms of their unselfishness, in terms of the passion they play the game, starting with Jalen Brunson, going with R.J. Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley and Julius Randle. But just that was one extra like-minded player that came in and really brought the Knicks to a different level. And they've been on a different level ever since he joined them. I think they're 23-9 since he joined the team. So the proof is in the pudding there. And they've just gotten better and better. They don't always play a perfect game, but they don't need to because they figure out a way to get things done. In Game 5, they lost Julius Randle for the second half with another ankle injury. Obi Toppin and the others kind of stepped up and made up for that. And to me, that's what a good team does. They don't sit around and lament the fact that, Julius Randle came into the series hurting and he leaves the series hurting, or that Josh Hart hurt his ankle in Game 1, and meanwhile, by Game 5, played all but about a minute and 14 seconds in the game. So this is the kind of team that when you get that kind of a role, you can see them going, to a pretty fair distance, especially now that the Bucks are out of the way. I don't think anybody would have, no matter how much the Bucks have scuffled against the Heat, I don't think if they had survived, I don't think there's anybody who would have reasonably picked the Knicks to win that series. But now there's really no reason to believe the Knicks couldn't get by the Heat. And then when if they do that and you're in the conference finals, all of a sudden you start to dream a little bit.
All right, so go even deeper on that series. What are your early thoughts on this Knicks Heat series?
Oh, it's going to be fun. Look, it's for one thing, it's Knicks Heat, and there's a lot of history attached to that, going back to the 90s. And it's those were always rock fights. Those were always passionate wars that invariably every single time came down to a decisive game. And there's no reason to expect that wouldn't happen here. I think the Knicks are the better team. The Knicks certainly had the better regular season, but then the Cavaliers had the better regular season than the Knicks, so you can't always go on that. Both teams are coming in smoking hot, so the level of play ought to be extraordinary. Obviously, we talked about Jimmy Buckets earlier. He's on an epic run. But look, so are the Knicks key players. R.J. Barrett's playing the best ball of his pro career. Brunson hasn't been taking even a half step back from anything he did during the regular season. It would be nice if they could have Julius Randle back. It would have been nicer for the Knicks if maybe the Bucks could have extended the series to 7 games so they could have a couple extra days to rest Julius, but that's just not the way it's going to be. And so as a result, they get they get game one on Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon at the Garden, which ought to be some kind of atmosphere because we saw what the Garden can be like again for the 2 games they played the Cavs there. It ought to be even more remarkable when the Heat, an old friend, comes to town.
Oof, the hair on my arms just stood up from that. It's going to be great on Sunday for game one. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Great talking to you, Brandon. Take care.